She was not a believer when they came to Canada, or was she a believer then? But she said Mom would not accept the Lord at the time that Grandpa Brown did. And that she gave the family a very difficult time about Christianity, but the fact that Grandpa Brown was a born-again believer. Because Mom was still a member of the Conference Church, and she went to the Conference Church on Sunday morning, and Grandpa Brown went to the MB Church. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Yeah.
And what happened there? Where did Grandma Brown accept the Lord? Do you know that?
No,
Well, that happened in Zamara.
Oh, that did?
Yes. When they came from Toronto, that's where they came from.
Yeah.
Then Grandpa Brown was already a Christian, and Mother accepted the Lord later.
Wasn't that, how old was she?
I don't know. Well, when she got married, I think she was 28.
Mother was 26.
26, okay.
So I think she became Christian only
Pardon me?
only a few years earlier, right?
Yeah.
That she became
Yeah,
Christian.
she was,
But you're talking about her.
But I'm talking about her mother.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm talking about Grandma Brown.
Frank Brown.
I
I
just,
don't know anything about that.
I just know that they went to the two churches, like you said,
Yeah.
and that there was a question about her being born again.
Oh, there was a big question
Yeah.
About what?
about Grandma Brown being born again, and Grandpa Brown would talk about being born again, and Grandma Brown would joke about it. And Mom said it was very difficult for Grandpa Brown to stand up toward her.
Well, that's possible.
You know, I thought maybe somebody would know.
I didn't know.
Wanted to know. Because Grandpa Brown didn't accept the Lord until later on in life too, didn't he? He wasn't a Christian
I don't think so.
at an early age.
They were conference.
Yes, they were
Even
conference.
in Zamara, they still went to the conference
Yes.
church in Klashana.
Thought somebody could answer that.
One small request, if you could just remember to speak up a little bit.
One thing I didn't know, what did your mother, the first wife of Dad, what did she die of?
Well, as far as we know, it was pneumonia.
Pneumonia.
Yeah.
Okay. I
I
didn't
thought
know.
it was childbirth.
I did too, but
I always thought it was childbirth.
No,
Oh.
no, there was no child born.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. No, it was pneumonia.
And you remember that quite clearly, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Must have been, very traumatic for you kids to be without a mother.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
But her passing is very, very interesting because we knew, of course, I had made an experience with the Lord. Pray about it. We prayed. I remember, just can still remember me praying at the bed. If mother's, according to the doctor, if mother would live till the morning, she would live. And so we prayed in the morning. Mother was still alive, so I was, okay, Mother, you're going to live. And she was very concerned about that, and no, she had to pass away. She had to die. And but she was she was afraid to die because she did not have assurance of salvation. She was a Christian, no question, but now things became where she wasn't sure. And so then Dad got Uncle Bernard, that was my uncle, but her brother. They lived not too far away, and they got her. He got him, and he came and he read from Romans 8, 6 or 8 verses. Whether height nor depth nor principality nor power shall separate us from the love. And then Mother, after she heard that, she said, then all is well, then everything is well. And then she asked her brother, does she have to die? And he said yes. And she said goodbye to us.
She took us each one by the hand.
Each one starting from the young.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 11.
You were 11.
I was 8.
You were 8.
Frank was 3, yeah?
She said, Corey, you are the oldest one. You love the Lord Jesus Christ with all your heart and all your brothers and sisters so that we will meet again. and so she admonished each one.
Neat.
But before that, you hadn't been that sure that she had a walk with the Lord.
Oh, there was no question, she was a Christian, but she was just in doubt right before
Okay.
passing away.
Okay,
Yeah.
There was no doubt in anyone's mind.
okay.
But,
The enemy was hard on Dad that we do.
Yeah, I was just thinking the
Last
same
little
thing.
while.
Yes, he was.
Mr. Pankratz, he dealt with him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
I was gonna mention it.
but when she, before passing, yeah, when she came to Dad, Dad started crying. And she said, "But Jacob, where is your faith?"
Mhm.
My
Can you
goodness.
believe it?
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Jacob, where is your faith? I can just remember. Well, I remember the whole thing. You remember the whole thing too.
It didn't take long before you got her mother.
And it was about a half an hour, mother passed away. And then we had the funeral in our own house. And she was buried in the garden, right on the edge.
Oh,
No.
really?
Yes, she was buried right there.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah. And in about,
In
1
the
month,
garden, you said, yeah?
pardon me,
She was buried in the garden.
in the garden, right, we had trees there, right
Yes.
on the edge. But anyway, after 1 month, we had an older sister, well, between Corny and me, Alda.
Yes.
And she had,
Pneumonia
Typhus.
also.
but did she have pneumonia?
Yeah.
Somebody said typhus,
Oh,
but
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
yeah, whatever. And she passed away then too, and she was buried
Beside mother.
Beside mother.
That was within a year,
Pardon me?
within a year of
No,
her mother passing,
1 month,
1 month,
1 month.
Oh,
Wow.
you
And
know?
I know then, it was another 4 months or so when Dad got to know Mother. And then he got married.
mhm.
But I remember that so well when Dad came and said, "You're going to have a new mother." Well, nobody could have been happier than I know for myself, because that's what we need. We need a mother.
Mm.
And
See,
it
Dad was in a hard situation. Tante Justina, she came and cooked for us.
Yes,
But she couldn't keep that on the long run.
no,
She was helpful.
we had 5 children at home, right?
Yes. And then Dad had to go in the field to work,
Yeah,
you know, put the seed in and
that's right.
so on. And then we prayed about it, and that the Lord would give us mother.
Yeah, because we had already in between adopted Vanya, you see.
Oh, yeah.
Between,
Well, before Mother passed away.
before mother passed away.
Before Mother passed away, we had Vanya. Because Mother was instrumental in getting Vanya.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Four brothers.
Can you just, sorry, Uncle Corny?
Just a minute.
Sorry, can you just explain the whole situation with Vanya? Because nobody really knows exactly how that came about.
How it came about that he was at our house and how he was adopted.
And just speak up a little bit.
It was a very cold winter day, and it was stormy outside, and many people died along the roads because of starvation. The Russian people moved past our farm to one village to the next for bread. And this mother had 4 children, 4 sons. And Vanya was the youngest one. He was maybe 4 years old. And he had dropped down a number of times on the way down, and she had thrown him in the snow to stay there. And he got himself up each time and struggled along with them. And then when they came to our door, then we took them in for maybe a day or two and warmed them up and gave them food and some clothes. And then she was ready to break up and move on again. But she said, Vanya will not make it. If I take him with me now, he will freeze to death. That was for sure. And then Mother said, we can't let him do that. And she said, we will keep Vanya here. And his mother fully agreed with that. And then she left with her 3 remaining sons. They were a little older. And Vanya stayed, and his skin and everything was very, I don't know the name of that disease of the skull and everything. We washed him and scrubbed him and put ointment on and so on, and the hair started growing again and so on. And he developed health, and he became well again, and we all loved him, and he was a good boy. And then when we wanted to go to Canada, he was the only one that had trachoma. And he had always dried on the same towels that we dried in the mornings. Dr. Drury, I think it was, he came there. And he found everybody fit to go to Canada except Vanya. He had disease of trachoma in his eyes. And then Dad said, our time is urgent, we cannot because of Vanya stay here. And then he asked Uncle Dietrich Thiessen, and he took Vanya to himself. And we left for Canada. And Vanya stayed with Dietrich Thiessen's, I don't know for how long, but a year later Dietrich Thiessen's came to Canada also. And Vanya was adopted out to Willems in Plashanov.
Another foster home.
But Vanya accepted the Lord, and he was a Christian, and he had a good upbringing with the Willems. And then later on, I'm just taking big steps, he married a Christian lady, and they were a Christian family. And now in later immigrations to Germany, he came with his wife and some children, 2 maybe, the others stayed in Russia.
2 children and 7 grandchildren.
Yeah.
2 girls, I think they were married.
Yeah.
7 grandchildren. And we're corresponding, I was corresponding with him. And he said when he was told that he had to stay there alone, then Dad had asked me, because we were good friends, we were about 1 month difference or 2 month difference, would I tell Vanya that? And so he said, then you came and you told me, and we stood together and cried. That's our way to pray.
Wow.
Stood so.
Yeah. I think about your
As far as I know.
Yes, that's how it was. I remember that kind of, after he told me that.
I think
Tell him about that. Oh, sorry. About the experience when this army came by. When the army came by and you saw one of the soldiers raise his rifle.
That was when the group was in our home and robbed us, you know. When one was going to shoot me,
Yeah,
and the other one wiped his rifle off. And did the same with when they came to Holland,
yeah,
Beth
but-
and Annie.
yeah. But I'm thinking of the time when this group of soldiers came on the road and you said you saw one of the fellows raise his rifle
Oh,
and you quickly ran into the door and the bullet went into the farmhouse.
yes. They came by and
Yeah.
and they shot me. They left me, yeah.
these were roaming soldiers that were just...
Yeah.
No, they were moving military units.
Oh, I see.
The White Army or the Red Army?
Pardon?
The White Army or the Red Army?
As far as I know, it was usually the Red Army.
Yeah, okay.
And why were they shooting at you? Just target practice?
Just because we were not the kind of people they...
But that was government. That was partly government.
The red, not then yet. White was the government.
Yeah, but see,
This is communism.
I think that, I believe, as far as I remember, they had won the revolution already. The
Oh,
Red-
that's- yeah.
The Red Army. But there were groups of them, they were still moving by
Yeah.
different places, and they came by our farm there. And they could have done it just for fun.
Sure.
No responsibility.
No.
They apparently knew that we were not of their kind, and you know how they are.
So how long was it before, like after, when the revolution happened, what was that, 23?
1917.
17, pardon me.
17, as far as I know, between 17 and 1920.
Okay. So then when this revolution was taking place, from the time that Lenin sort of really opened up the prisons and things got really bad, how long was it until you guys decided enough's enough, you're leaving? And how, what was that period like in general?
In 1920, I say roughly, the revolution was over. And then little easier times came. But there was such a weak police force that roving bands were moving through the countries. And we were, I wouldn't say fortunate, I believe the Lord had his hand on us. All of our people in Samara, the whole settlement. And we had no murder cases, as far as I know. And they were easy on us in comparison to what they did in the Ukraine.
One reason was for that the railroad didn't come right into us. They stopped at Sorochitz.
Yes.
And then if they wanted to come, that was another 30 miles, yeah?
Well, there was about 50 miles.
50 miles. You see, then they had to come by horses or something. Had the track come through there, had the train come through, we could have all been gone. It's hard to say. But they weren't that far developed at that time.
Yeah, well, the revolution would take over the bigger cities, bigger centers.
Yeah.
And it takes quite a while, to infiltrate all the rural areas.
Yeah.
Because they're all back, away from the railroad tracks, like you said. And it takes a long time. In those years, the communication wasn't like it is today.
No, but people like Buchno and those, we didn't get him in Zamara because the track railroad didn't come through.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, can you describe, there were some instances where people did come to rob you and did come to
Yes.
do whatever they wanted. Can you, in a nutshell, explain those situations briefly?
Well, I could explain what happened to us when we were robbed.
Okay.
Would you like to hear that?
Sure.
Well, it was during winter as well, with snow on the ground. It was cold. And we children had already gone to bed. And Dad was away at a council meeting in the next village, I believe it was. When he came home, possibly 10:30, 11 o'clock, when he heard a knock at the barn door, in the back of the barn, and they asked him, what is it you wanted? Because the barn and the house were connected. You could hear that from out of the house, you could hear it from the other side of the barn. So then they wanted to get in and get warmed. I'd have warmed her to have tea. But anyway, he had to open the door for them, and they came in. And then first thing, as they went along, they asked, where is this cellar? And so then after he told them where the cellar was, then they put him into the cellar. All of them. Plus, there were some people, neighbors and people that stayed at our place. They put them all into the cellar.
Except one 14-year
And
fellow.
And that fella, there was one fella that stayed in our house. And they tried to wake him
It
up.
was a whole Russian family stayed in there.
Yeah, they stayed also.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this particular guy. And they tried to wake him up and put him in there too, but they couldn't wake him. He stayed sleeping. So then they put him in there. In the meantime, however, they called Dad out to shoot him, right?
Out of the cellar?
Out of the cellar.
I didn't hear of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I read you the whole thing.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right,
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah.
According to Mom told us.
Yes.
You're right, that's what it was.
Yeah, and And on the way, he said, one of them said to the other fellows, as they were leading him out, he said, leave him, he said. When we wanted to come in, he let us in. And so then took him back into the cellar. And then they came to our bed. But you still remember looking into the barrel.
Yeah.
And one of them said, leave him.
Leave me.
I didn't, I was sleeping beside him. I didn't hear that. But I woke up then because there was so much noise and they had already been robbing. They had clothes on the floor and different things. But I do remember that's what woke me kind of is because, well, the noise, but also there was a guard or somebody walking around the house in the snow. And inside you could hear the footsteps. You hear them once. After a little while, you heard them again.
Wow.
And then they went to my sisters, both of them sleeping in one bed. And we were going to shoot them too, and one of them sleeping. They left.
May I ask, was this your second mother already?
No.
What you're talking about, that was the first?
That was mother, my mother.
Mother, during that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then I remember in the morning, then they took everything they wanted and they packed it up on their sleigh and they left. In the morning, I remember seeing the
3 or 4
tree.
sleighs.
Pardon me?
They packed up about 3 or 4 sleighs.
Yeah.
Took whatever they wanted.
Yeah,
Everything.
took everything.
Pack on. I
These
don't know.
fur coats that the parents had, you know. And there were still empty shells. They must have reloaded in case we needed, you know. So the gun was loaded, there was no question about it. And then, of course, Dad had to get everything. He had to get everybody to come out. Yeah, but this fellow was awake then, and he opened the cellar door, the bar, whatever, and let the parents out. But in the meantime, while they were still in, our baby was crying, which was crying. And Mother said,
Really?
she wanted to get out. The guy said, what do you want? I want my baby. And so then he came and brought her the baby.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Frank was still
He
in
was
upstairs?
still upstairs.
Oh.
And then she brought her the baby.
He took Frank with all his bedding out of the cradle and handed him.
Oh, isn't that neat?
Nice God.
Now, was there any, what was the deal where he said, is there any money in the house?
No,
And no, and then they said, and then they went and searched and they found a little jar where Mom had some money in some cupboard for some incidentals or something.
I don't know.
That's what Mom said that.
She said something like that.
And then he had said, if I find any money in the house, you're going to get shot. Is that right, John?
Mhm.
That's what Mom said. And so they had searched the house and they found one little jar with a little bit of money and they went to get Dad to shoot him. And the guy had said, oh, leave him for that little bit of money.
It was
Oh,
closer than that.
that could be the
Wasn't
answer.
it? It was closer than that. He raised his rifle and he was gonna shoot, just gonna shoot him. And the guy took his hand, took the rifle away.
Is that right?
And that was.
You think of the whole thing, how the war had this in his hand.
May I interject while you can continue, but I interject, do you think it's just coincidence that Mother said, Jacob, where is your faith? If you and I think we're supposed to bear strong shoulders to, you know, to minister to our family and all this load on you with all that we went through, I don't know how they can stand up to it. I know the Lord is able and all that, but just think of what they went through, how the faith that he had to have to carry this all, and then it went on to dare to come here and start up again and all that. There's,
Yes, I lived through this, and Corny knows quite a bit more before when the army came in to take the horses, and they take the good horses out of the field and give them the poor horses.
Well, they left about 2 or 3 over just runs, you know,
Yeah,
overdriven.
yeah.
They were not worth for nothing. So, and they took all our horses out. And Dad said, then I stood at the wall and cried. He had nothing to put the crop in. And
Yeah.
It's like taking your John Deere and leaving a Massey. You know?
Yeah, but that time when the horses got a sickness and they couldn't use the horses. They died, they only had a few left,
Yeah, that was in 22.
22. And then,
That was just a year later. So.
yeah, and then our Uncle Dietrich came, he had been away, and he came and he said, we'll have to hitch up the cows. And they got the cows out of the barn, they hitched them up, and they plowed.
He would.
We're gonna make it.
Dietrich,
Oh, Dietrich, oh, yeah, he would. He would.
he was the chief, I mean, in cattle.
Our cows didn't matter.
No, cows, will take the cows out of the barn.
Yeah, and a couple of young steers too.
Yeah,
I've heard the story that when they didn't have seed, they were stolen, the seed was stolen. One man said the thrashing machine was working poorly. A lot of wheat went into the straw pile. So they took it on racks, the straw, and went and scattered it on the field for seed. That's a pretty good drill. That's faith. And it grew.
We've had sheep, but,
Yeah. What do you do?
no, I
Hitch
know.
up horses, they hitch up cows, what
They
do you
said-
do?
Grandpa Thiessen had 16 yoke of oxen, or cattle, pulling at one time, breaking land, you know.
Really?
1902.
19,
Between 1902 and 1908, in those years, they moved to Marizamara.
oh yeah, this was right in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 1902.
Yeah.
And then they started, because they had no crop that spring. It took a long time to move over. They plowed with oxen because they had no crop, so they couldn't feed grain to the horses. So they plowed with oxen, 16 team of oxen. Dad and Uncle Nick and Uncle Dietrich. And then hired men. And so they broke the prairie.
Can I interject and ask a question? We've heard so much about, what your parents have done, and I've tried at times to imagine what kind of people these were. I mean, they sound like superhuman, and obviously they weren't. They were normal, but
Our parents.
your parents. Can you please describe what kind of people they were? Like, were they? What were their characters like? Were they happy? Were they serious all the time? Were they just, how would you describe them to me?
Well, do you want to describe? I would describe them as deeply rooted in faith in the Lord. I know Dad was definitely deeply rooted in the Lord.
I've heard that from Dad and from others that our grandfather Nikolai Thiessen was a deeply godly man. He rounded up the people around Hooter, he had a lot of renters. He had bought a lot of land, and there were a lot of people, they were renters that he had put on there. And on Sundays or weekends, he rounded them up and had Bible study with them and prayer services with them.
So,
Mhm.
so
Yes, right. And so did Dad. When Dad grew up, he rounded up the kids around the different cooters and from us, our own, and had Sunday school with us we'll say it was a muddy weekend, a muddy Sunday where we couldn't go 7 miles with horses on the wagon to church. Then he had it with us. In winter, we had no roads. In winter, everything was snowed up. Then he had it with us in the house. And he rounded up the kids from the different areas and had it with us in our own house or in a neighbor's house and so on. And we felt that Dad loved us. He was very strict with us. But he loved us, and I never forget those blessed times.